Hi, welcome to the Douglas on My Mind show. I'm Blondell Thomas, the City of Douglas Public Information Officer, and we'll be right back with a little bit of updates about COVID-19, some school updates, and also some information about the Census 2020. Hi, and welcome back to the Douglas on My Mind show. I am here right now with Dr. Dockery. He is the Deputy District Director for the Southeast Health District. Thank you for being here, Dr. Dockery.
Thank you for having us here today.
Well, tell us a little bit, what exactly is the Southeast Health District? What is that?
The Southeast Health District is where the Department of Public Health, which is based out of Atlanta, serves all Georgians, has divided up the state into multiple health districts. Mm-hmm. We live in the 9-2 or Southeast Health District, which is based out of Ware County. Mm-hmm. Our district covers Coffee County and covers counties all the way to Bullock, and it's down to the Florida line with Clinch and Ware and Charlton. We actually cover around 8,000 square miles in our health district. We are one of the largest in land area in the state.
Oh wow, that's a big area. And of course, I think everybody probably knows why I've got you here on the show today. Right now, with us dealing with the coronavirus, what is going on and what is the current state of COVID-19 in Georgia?
I wish I could say that it has gone away, and sometimes I dream that in the middle of the night, but unfortunately it is not. As people, of course, has been watching the Georgia Department of Public Health website, you'll know that as of today at 1 o'clock we have 38,000 confirmed cases in Georgia and almost 400,000 people tested in the state of Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And out of those, unfortunately, we've had 1,642 deaths in that. Now, the median age of death, or the average age of a person who has succumbed or died to COVID-19, is around 70, which to me is getting younger and younger every year as I'm getting older and older every year. And in Coffee County, we have now 196 confirmed cases with 12 deaths. If you look around our touching counties, we are one of the highest rates in our area. And of course, we're one of the larger counties in our area.
But thankfully, we're not as big as some of the other areas, located up north or to the west of us.
Luckily, Coffee County heeded the words of the hospital and heeded the words of the mayor and our other elected officials, and did go into quarantine mode early. They did separate themselves, a lot of churches went to drive-up churches or virtual churches. So it really did what we wanted it to do. It really slowed down the spread of the virus. This is a virus, so there's no medication to treat it. It has to run its course. Now, you hear of medications for those that are in the hospital who are deathly ill. And that's more geared to controlling the inflammation that the body reacts to this virus, more so than controlling the virus. But luckily, the curve, everybody's heard that term, flattening the curve. If you look at the curves, which are now on the website as well, you'll see that our curve is declining again, which is awesome. We don't know the numbers yet of us going back to our favorite outdoor activities and shopping and hairdressers and the like. Yet those numbers will be coming in over the next few weeks. But for now, thankfully, the numbers do look like they're declining, and that really reflects what a good job our citizens did in taking quick action to try to control the spread of the virus.
Right, because like you said, the virus, it's spread by contact.
It is spread by contact. It is spread by coughing, sneezing, touching, just normal ways that germs spread.
Right. Now, are there any testing opportunities that are being offered in our area?
Yes, ma'am. We're still testing. The Department of Public Health, as you know, if you've ridden by the hospital, you have the 2 red tents out there in the parking lot. And we're there pretty much every day of the week. Now, lately we have went to some other counties and tested for 1-day test and closed early.
Okay.
So the best way to get a test is to, and there's other testing opportunities, there's other testing opportunities around in some of the clinics and some of the private doctor's offices as well.
Okay. Now, if somebody thinks they need to be tested, do y'all have like a checklist, or do you just test anybody that wants to be tested?
At this time, we're testing anybody. You don't have to have symptoms. You just have to call, or we urge you to call the 1-855-473-4374 number, which is, or you can call your local health department. They will also get you in contact with a person who will just obtain your name, telephone number, ask you if you're having any symptoms, and give you what we call a PUI number.
Okay.
And then you just drive up and we ask for that number and you drive through, and it takes hopefully less than 5 minutes from start to finish when you get to the spot. If you don't have a number and can't get a number, that is not a problem. If you come to the SPOC, we can obtain a number for you when you arrive there. But anybody who wants to be tested now can be tested. And the reason for that is we want to know how much virus is out there and how much asymptomatic virus is out there. A lot of people have virus and don't have any symptoms, especially young folks. So we encourage everybody to get tested so we can get an idea about opening back up and how quickly and what we can do and how rapidly we can do it.
Okay. Now, can you provide us an overview of like the contact tracing process within the district? How do you know these numbers? How do you determine
Contact tracing is a very important part of the follow-up of the virus, because say you become infected, you don't know where you got in contact or where you got the virus from, or maybe you do know that somebody was sick. What will happen is after you receive a positive, or after someone may have reported that they are positive and list you as someone they spent time with, you may get a phone call and they are asking you, and they'll identify them from the Department of Public Health. It's not those weird random phone calls we get sometimes, spam calls. They will say you were listed as a contact from a person who's tested positive, and they'll ask you if you have any symptoms. They'll offer you testing, and that gives us an idea of how much active illness there is out there and where, depending on who is met with who, where the virus has gone.
I'm not sure if you know the answer to this question or not, but just recently we've started seeing this new thing associated, the rash and things like that in children. Have we had anything like that reported so far?
Luckily, we have not. They've seen this mainly in New York. There's still a big question about whether or not this is really COVID-19 or in a response to the inflammation that COVID-19 causes. There is another illness in children of that age group called Kawasaki's disease, which produces very similar symptoms. It is also a proposed virus that causes it, or a reaction to a virus. So we're not sure if COVID-19 is the cause and effect of this problem that we're seeing, or if this is something else the children have come in contact with, because it is uncommon, but we do see it. But luckily, we've not seen any of this children with this particular variant or symptoms in this area.
Okay, that's good. Well, what are some preventive measures, like in our community or in local businesses, that they can take to ensure that everyone coming in contact with other people in their place of business, that they're safe? And
the main thing is, like Grandma always said, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. We're still saying wash your hands. Also, keep your hand sanitizer or whatever available when you go out and you shop. If they offer sanitizer there to wipe off the buggy handle, wipe off the buggy handle.
Okay.
When you get back in your car and you're wearing your mask out in public, don't just reach up to take your mask off. Sanitize your hands, then remove your mask. And if you're in a store and it's crowded, back away, pay attention to where you are in the store and those around you. Most stores have gone to great lengths to provide direction about what is 6 foot away. Also, they've got signs up about be mindful about your surroundings and who's next to you.
Right.
And that's the main thing. When you meet a friend in the store, smile and wave, not necessarily hug or shake hands right now because of the virus, but just a lot of common sense things. You know, we're social creatures. We want to get back to church. We want to get back to our normal everyday activities. And going forward, what is that going to look like? A little different than we're used to, but it shouldn't completely stop us from living full lives. I mean, the virus is not going away anytime soon. Nobody really knows if it's going to be here a month, 6 months, 2 years from now. Viruses don't tend to go away when they show up. They tend to flare up from time to time like the flu. Hopefully, eventually, there will be a vaccine in the next several months to a year. Can't promise on how quick that will be, which will help, just like it helps prevent the flu. But the main thing is again, social distancing, avoid gathering in large groups, especially from people from multiple areas that you may not have noticed before. And if you're in the store, just be mindful of your surroundings. And again, wash your hands and hand sanitizer.
Wash them hands. And unfortunately, for those people who may or may not be like me, but I love to hug, so now it has been a big adjustment for me.
Yes,
maybe we can go back to hugging one day.
Hopefully that is the goal, is that we can resume back our normal lives eventually. But right now, we have to deal with the hand we're dealt. And,
that's right.
And if it means being able to go out and shop and go out and visit with folks and do things like that in a distanced manner and get back to church in some semblance, then I think it's worth it to put up with it for a little while longer.
That's right. You're absolutely right. Now, if you would, one more time, give that number for people to call and set up an appointment. And I just thank you for being here today and sharing this information. And is there anything else you think is really important?
Well, one thing I would like to say is everybody's heard a lot about antibody testing.
Yes.
Antibody testing right now in our area and even in the state of Georgia is not as useful as you think it is. Everybody's pushing antibody testing, but there's lots of types of coronavirus. Coronavirus is one of the common causes of the common cold, not the course that's what's going around now. So a lot of the antibody testing that's being sold is not specific for COVID-19. It is just coronavirus. To get the very specific antibody testing, you have to have almost a research facility that's doing that testing. So just be cautious when you're doing antibody testing. The other thing about antibody testing, I will say, is if you go and have antibody testing today, but your symptoms started yesterday, it can take up to 10 days to 2 weeks to develop the beginning antibodies to the virus. So you may be sick and well over the illness before you ever develop the type of antibodies that we see. The number, again, to call is 1-855-473-4374. Or you can call your health department, and they can also get you into the line for testing.
Well, that is great. Great information to have in case somebody does think that they need to be tested. And again, I appreciate you being here today. We appreciate all the healthcare workers and the essential workers are doing. And like you've said, together we can battle this together, but at a distance.
Yes, ma'am. That is correct. And hopefully, going forward, things will continue to become more and more normal as time goes by, or a new normal that we'll
get used to.
That's right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Douglas on My Mind show. I am here now with Dr. Morris Lease, the superintendent of the Coffee County Board of Education, and he is going to give us some updates of what's going on with the school system. And just to start off, I know this has been an unusual year for you.
It certainly has. I tell you what, we started out in the fall, and our boys and girls and teachers and staff did a great job, and we had a really good school year going, and you know, we get into the spring and March rolls around and start hearing a little bit about the coronavirus and COVID-19,
and y'all were in a tough space, tough spot.
I mean, continue to escalate. And we reached the point, you know, that everybody knows now. It's all history. That March 16th was the last day that we had actually students left on that Friday, and then March 16th they didn't return. And on the 18th we dismissed the staff, and so we've not been back in school since March 18th.
Yeah.
So it's certainly been different.
It's been an early summer vacation, sort of, but then the kids, you know, of course, have their online classes, which I think's good. And I mean, they were still able to continue their learning, which is really good.
And I do want to give our teachers and our administrators and all of our support staff a lot of credit. I tell you what, on about 2 weeks before we dismissed, we met with our administrative team, and we started talking about what if. What if this thing turns into what we're thinking it might turn into? And our principals did a great job. Our transportation director, Buddy Gilliard, Dawn Lewis, our nutrition director, they came together and planned the food distribution model that we're using, with every bus route being run and delivering food to our students.
Right.
So they started working on that plan about 2 weeks before March 16th, and so also we were working on a distance learning plan. Our assistant superintendent Kim Miller and her staff and the principals and teachers, they got together and they started working on Google Classroom and how we would use Google Classroom and Chromebooks to deliver instruction. So the days leading up to the dismissal, our people were prepared and our teachers were ready.
And I think that speaks volumes of you and the administration, of how y'all were able to, I mean, immediately start a plan of action of what you were going to do.
Well, our Board of Education, I've got to give them a lot of credit too. Our board members, we were communicating. News was going back and forth, and so the board wanted us to be ready. Our people stepped up and they were ready, and so when we dismissed students on that Monday, by Wednesday we had 3,000 Chromebooks issued to students. We had learning packets for students that didn't have technology and the access to the internet for them to be able to continue learning. And so by March 18th, we were delivering meals, around 10,000 meals a day.
Wow.
And we had 3,000 Chromebooks out in the field for students to use, and school was back up and going. So when we closed down on March 16th, we reopened on March 18th, but with a virtual school. Through the internet and through learning packets, and then also delivering meals, breakfast and lunch, around 10,000 meals a day. So it was incredible. We got to give our teachers credit, our staff, our bus drivers, parapros, everybody that made it happen. And they've been working ever since. They've been working. So we've maintained it throughout. The end of this week, we will shut down operations, and our school year will officially end this Friday. So it's been a team effort. We got a great team. Coffee County, county commission, city council members, everybody working together. The hospital, I got to give them credit too. The hospital, Vicki Lewis out there, she did a great job kind of bringing the community members together, the leadership together, and Dr. Dockery with the Georgia Department of Public Health. He's been great. We've all been communicating. Just got to give everybody credit. Our sheriff department, they supported the feeding program by having police and sheriff deputies following the buses and escorting the buses, and so it's just been a true team effort.
It has, and I hate to say it, but it has been a wake-up call for us parents. That you know, we thought our children were just great, and it was the teachers' fault they weren't learning these things. But yeah, I've always felt like teachers and some people in the education field never got the appreciation they should, and boy, they're getting it now. We can't wait for the kids to go back to school.
I understand. I have a 9th grader, and she's been working so hard, but and I've got a son who's in college, 2nd year of college, and he's been working hard at home. But I tell you, I think they've been home enough. Now we've got to start working on getting them back into the classroom, and that's our next step. So that's what we're currently planning.
And hopefully some of the students will realize how much they're, the jobs that the teachers do and the administration and everything, and whenever they go back to school, maybe they won't be quite as, outgoing as what they used to, as far as giving the teachers or the administration an issue or problems. They need to realize and appreciate it too, which I know my daughter, she's ready to go back to school to see her friends, and then there were some teachers she's missing, and it's been a wake-up call for all of us.
Well, that's great.
So speaking of going back to school, what are y'all's plans as far as when the kids may be returning to school?
Our published start date is August 7th.
Okay.
So that is the date that the Board of Education has approved for school to start back. We are still planning to return August 7th. We had a meeting with around 40 of our administrators last week, our principals, directors, other administrators, and we started planning the return last week. We're meeting again tomorrow. We're going to have a big meeting at the middle school, and we're going to continue planning school for August 7th. So we have not changed our date to start back. I've been working closely with the Department of Public Health officials. You had Dr. Dockery on earlier. We've been consulting with him. Also our other health officials with the hospital and such. So we'll continue to talk with those folks as we plan to start school back. But that is our plan. We're studying the CDC guidance that they have put out. On Thursday of last week, they published some new guidance, so we're going to continue to study their guidance, and we plan to implement the guidance from the CDC and work in partnership with our local officials and get school started back up. And I want to assure our parents that our #1 focus will be student safety and keeping the boys and girls safe and keeping your students safe. So that'll be our #1 goal, as well as our employees, making sure our employees are safe and that we're doing the things we need to do to have schools safely in Coffee County. So we're going to be #1 committed to safety and making sure the students, employees, everybody involved is safe and that we're ready, and that's our plan to move forward.
Well, that sounds really good, and I'm glad that the kids will be able to start back to school as of right now on time, and it's just, and then too, with school starting back, how is Douglas is big football. I mean, what are we going to do about football season?
All those activities
all the extracurricular
have to be
activities, right?
We have been following the guidance from the Georgia High School Association. Of course, they're the governing body over athletics, high school athletics in the state of Georgia. So our athletic director, Randy Garrett, has been in close contact with the GHSA office, and the GHSA executive director is sending guidance out. We got some guidance from them last week. Basically was to be patient. They're working on a plan, and they are studying when we can start back. But our plan is to start normal operations as far as the school system on June 1st. We plan to bring back all of our 11 and 12-month employees on their normal work routine starting June 1st. They've been working, but we have been certainly cognizant of the conditions and making sure that people are not gathering in groups of more than 10 and such as that. But we plan to return somewhat normal operations on June 1st. And our hope is that hopefully some of these activities in GHSA will allow some of these activities to get started back up, and go ahead, slowly starting some of that back up, and hopefully by July have things pretty well up and going. But we will have to work under the guidance of the Georgia High School Association, and we're going to follow their guidance to a T. So we're going to do what they tell us we can do.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to keep us from winning region or anything like that, state, region, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's right. But #1, we want to keep our boys and girls safe.
That's right. That's the most important.
That's what we'll do.
Speaking of keeping the boys and girls safe, I know this year, especially for 2020 graduates, it's been difficult for them as far as not being able to walk across the stage at their scheduled time. And I've seen on TV where they're doing like the virtual graduations and things like that. What are our plans, or are there any plans for our 2020 graduates?
Our published date was May 23, which is coming up this
Right.
Saturday. So, of course, that's off the table. We can't have a ceremony then. The high school has been working on some virtual programming. I think they're going to push out some recognition via the internet, maybe on the 23rd. That'll go out, and hopefully there'll be some a lot of excitement with that. But you can only get so much out of a virtual program.
Right.
All right. So, what we ultimately plan to have is a traditional graduation ceremony at Jardine Stadium. So June 20th is the date that we have published as the date that we will have graduation at Jardine Stadium. We plan to have a ceremony at 8 a.m. on June 20th, Saturday, June 20th. We did push it back because it is June, and we know the temperatures will be warm at that time, so we did push it back to 8 a.m. That's our plan. Now, we will have to follow the guidance of the the Board of Health, the local health department, and Georgia Department of Public Health. We'll be working with that group to make sure what we do is safe. And once again, safety will be the priority. I don't know if you saw the Air Force Academy had a graduation ceremony in which they kept the cadets 6 feet apart, and they did those things to make sure that they were 6 feet apart. And we're going to take those same kind of precautions with our students and make sure that they are safe. As far as attendees and family and friends, those numbers, what we can do will be dictated by the conditions at that time. I think we're a little far away. We're still a month out to be able to say exactly what kind of participation we'll be able to have from families and attending the ceremony. But we do plan to open it up hopefully to as many people as we can. And when I say can, those numbers will depend on what our health officials and what the conditions at that time are.
That's right.
If we wanted to do it right now, we could have no attendees there. But we're hoping by June 20th, we'll be able to have families there to see their graduate walk across the stage. But as we've talked about this, destination graduation for college, career, and life is our mission.
Right.
And we really believe it means something to Coffee County young people. When you ask them what the mission of the school system is, they'll tell you, destination graduation.
Just to graduate,
And so, it's come to mean a lot to our community. And as we talked through this thing about a month ago, our staff and the leadership and the schools said, we've got to have a graduation ceremony. We cannot not have a graduation ceremony. So we're committed to having a ceremony. As we get closer to it, we'll release the details on how it will look and how we'll operate it.
Well, that's really good news because, well, my niece and several other people that I know have kids that are, looking forward to graduation. So I'm glad to hear that you're at least going to try to have it on June the 20th.
That's right.
All right, all right. Moving forward, if parents happen to have any questions about school, where would they find the most up-to-date information at?
When all this started, we created an FAQ, facts and questions section on our website. So you can go to our website, the Coffee County Schools website, and you can find a question and answer sheet there that we've tried to be comprehensive and provide as much information as we can.
Right.
If you can't find it there, I would recommend you call your child's school, see if you can get through to the principal. They can answer questions. Also, sometimes the front desk, they can give you a good answer. We've got one at the board office, Jackie Lewis, who can about tell you anything you need to know about what's going on in the schools. So
that's good.
If all else fails, just call the board office, and we'll try to answer whatever questions people have. But that's the number one source, is to go to the teacher, go to the school, go to the principal, and then if you can't get the answer there, come to the board office or call the board office. And if you can't get through, just come up there and knock on the door and come see me.
Right. Now, the website is like, is it Coffee GA?
It's www.coffeecounty coffee.k12.ga.us.
Okay, and that's the website, and then the phone number to call the Board of Education?
It is 384-2086.
Okay, all right, that's two things we might need to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, before we close, is there anything else that's really important that you think that our viewers need to see or need to hear?
Well, I just want to thank all of our parents once again. As you alluded to, this has been interesting, challenging times for sure. And, you know, I want to thank our parents for what they've done to help our young people continue to learn, because that's our core mission, teaching and learning. That's why the schools exist, teaching and learning. And so we've not been able to have your students in our schools to be able to teach them. I know the parents have done their part to work with their students at home, but we look forward to getting the students back into the buildings and back in the classrooms, because we really believe that they need to be in a classroom learning, getting prepared to go out into this big world and be successful, because one day this is all going to be behind us. This isn't going to, this whole pandemic piece is not going to last forever. It's going to, we're going to look back on this period of time in the future, and hopefully we'll have learned some lessons, we'll have made some good decisions and done some good work, and come out of the other side of this thing better than ever. So I think that's our goal.
Right. I hope you made a checklist, like for somebody, you know, later on after you retire and everything, they can go through and say, well, he wrote me out a good checklist. This is what we've got to do.
We're working on it. We're working on it. Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you for being here, Dr. Lees.
Thank you. All right.
We'll be right back after this. Hi, and welcome back to the Douglas On My Mind show. I am here now with Miss Tracy Vickers, the county clerk, the Coffee County clerk, and she is also on the 2020 Census Complete Count Committee, and we also have Commissioner Johnny Wayne Jowers. He is our county chairman. So thank you both for being here. And we are going to talk about the 2020 census. For those who do not know what the census is, just kind of give us a really quick, brief synopsis of what the census is.
Okay. The goal of the census is to count every person living in the United States once, only once, and in the right place. The census is taken every 10 years throughout the United States, and the census also determines how $675 billion is spent supporting our state, our counties, and our communities throughout the United States.
If for no other reason, that is an important reason to get involved and to at least submit the information in, because Coffee County wants their portion of that $675 billion.
We sure do.
How can people respond to the census?
This year, for the first time, there's 3 ways to respond. You can respond by phone, and that number is 1-844-330-2020 for English, or 1-844-468-2020 for Spanish. You can also respond online at my2020census.gov, and you can also mail in the census questionnaire that you received back the middle of March to the end of March. You can mail that back, but you do not have to have your questionnaire to be able to answer online. If you've misplaced it, if you don't have it, you can just go online and to my2020census.gov and enter your home address, and you can respond that way, and so you don't have to have it.
Right. Okay. Now I actually went online and did ours, and it was really easy.
It is very easy.
I really thought it was going to take me 15-20 minutes. I think I was through with it within 5.
Yes.
And the biggest portion of that was me trying to find my form for there's like a number that it asks for, but if you don't have that number, what you're saying is you don't have to have it. You can just put your address in.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good news.
Yes.
When people are filling out their census information, who should they include?
They should include every person that was living in their home on April 1st of 2020. That includes all adults, babies, young children, foster children, or any non-relatives that may have been living in your household on April 1st. They use that as the actual date because people move around, college kids, and so whoever was in your household on April 1st.
Okay. Why, and here's been a big conspiracy theory or whatever that, oh, the governor's going to get my information and they're going to come after me, and heaven forbid, some people thought they'd be deported, some people thought IRS was going to come and get them, and just different things. So the biggest question is that information confidential? Is it shared with anyone?
Your census data is very confidential. It is strictly confidential by federal law. The Census Bureau cannot share your information with law enforcement agencies, immigration agencies, and it cannot be used to determine any kind of governmental benefits. It is strictly for the census data only.
Okay, that's really good news. So,
yes.
So if you were worried about your information getting out there and somebody knocking on your door coming to collect or take or whatever, it's not going to happen.
No, ma'am.
Not based off the census information.
Census workers actually have to sign a confidentiality agreement that they will not release that, and they will be bound to that.
Okay, well that's good. Well, Chairman Jowers, here's an important question I think you could probably answer. Why should anybody in Coffee County, why should they worry about filling out this 2020 census? What's the big thing?
I think you pointed that out early on.
Yeah.
About the money situation. That is a very important factor because a lot of our funding for our roads, paving, our streets, we had Dr. Lease here earlier, the after-school programs and the different things with the school are paid. The meals that they provide and stuff are paid through grants from this money, and it's based on the number of people we have in our county.
Okay.
And so, and on the political side of it, our congressional districts are decided and determined by the number of people we have counted. And in order for us to have equal representation from Georgia and from Coffee County, people need to be counted. Everyone counts.
Okay.
And early on, when Tracy and we asked her to task this, and she graciously accepted it, and we actually met the first time at a lunch and learn of the chamber out at the golf club, and after that, the coronavirus hit.
Right.
So this has kind of been, we hadn't been able to get any response, and Tracy had pointed out to me, percentage-wise, we're behind the average Georgia percent.
Wow.
What was it, 54.9 this morning, and ours was 42.9.
We're at 42.9.
So we're a good bit behind, and I think a lot of factors, into that, but mostly it was the coronavirus and different things. So I asked the people, as we're here today, please take the time. This is very important to our county, our city, that they do that.
Now, I know you can't necessarily do this when you get those phone calls wanting to know why their road's not, why is my road not paved, or why doesn't the county have the money to do this, or I know you can't say, well, did you fill out your 2020 census? But it's really important so that we can get that funding, especially grant funding, because that actually helps all our pockets, because we're not paying more in taxes to for you to receive those funds.
And if we don't have our people counted, then somebody else is going to get our part.
That's right.
Money, so
and I don't want nobody to have my part.
No, well, we need to really, everybody counts, and we need to make sure that they get counted.
Okay. It's actually estimated that for every person, that it affects $2,300 per person.
Wow.
Over a 10-year period is $23,000 for the 10 years. That for someone that is not counted, it affects your grant funding for 10 years. So $23,000 per person
for a 10
for
year
every
period.
person that's not counted.
Oh my goodness, that's astronomical.
Yes.
Well, y'all kind of touched on this, but you said our current response rate for Coffee County is low right now. It's not that high. Okay.
It is 42.9% today. So we really need to get that up. The Coffee County's response goal is 100%.
Right.
And so we've got a ways to go, and that is a self-response rate. So like the prison and nursing homes and things like that will be added onto that.
Okay.
But this is the self-response rate where people has answered either online or by phone or the questionnaire. So we just, and with like you said, with COVID, we had several activities planned throughout the community to have people come in with computers. We had computers set up in different places that we could have helped people, and so we've not been able to do that. We may in the future, but right now we don't.
That coronavirus is affecting everything.
It did.
But I can tell you, when I was home one day during all of this, it was like, well, I ain't got nothing else to do. Let me go online and fill the census form out. It's been sitting there, so it's a perfect time if you're still at home for you to go online.
It literally takes less than 10 minutes.
Actually,
to complete
probably hand filling out that form would probably take you more time than going online and doing it. But you know, everybody has their preference. What is something our citizens can do to help spread the word about the census? Help, tell people, please go fill out that form for this reason or that reason.
Well, of course, share messages on social media. There's a lot of census messages out there, so if you see one, you can share it, or there's a lot of tools in the on the 2020 Census website. If someone's creative and they just want to go pull some census messages off of there and share it, that would be great. And also one thing that we've learned from Commissioner Jowers over here is if you could, we're asking our citizens to contact 10 people from your contact list, friends, family, neighborhood, and just ask them, have you completed your census? And so that seems to work really good. So if you would,
just spread the word.
Just spread the word
about it.
Yes.
Well, one good thing that happened a little while back before the census, we filmed in, I believe it was September or October, but some of our local people are featured in the Georgia census campaign, and I thought that was really neat, and I really appreciated the fact that they thought about coming to Coffee County, and it's because they know that we can get it done. We just need people to go and fill out that information and get it in. So
yes, we do.
It's really good that we were considered for that. When is the deadline for the census?
October 31st.
Okay. And if they do turn it in late, do you know what happens? Does it just, you just won't be counted? Is that
I
it?
think after October 31st, it just won't be counted.
Yeah. Halloween, that's all I need. Just remember, you've got to do it by Halloween.
That's right.
What 3 things do you want citizens to know about the census?
We just want everyone to know that it is safe, your information is strictly confidential, and that it is easy. Like we said, it takes less than 10 minutes, and that it is vitally important for Coffee County and grant funding, and for a lot of reasons over the next 10 years. It's not just 1 year, it's 10 years. And so if everyone would please go online and answer this. Yes.
And one thing, I've done a little bit of family genealogy and all like that, and you can learn so much about your family through looking through the census records in the past.
That's right.
So if you want your great grandchild to know that you lived in Coffee County with this person or that person, that you've got to fill it out. That way it'll be there, and they can find out what you were doing back in 2020.
That's right.
For more information about the census, let's give that website one more time for people to go to, and if they want to talk to you, or is there somebody on the Complete Count Committee that they can speak with?
Sure. Online again is 2020census.gov, And the phone number is 1-844-330-2020, or they can contact me at the County Commissioner's Office at 384-4799, and I'll be glad to give them any information that I can.
Okay. And you can also ask Chairman Jowers. I'm sure he can tell them.
And I'll seek out Tracy to get the right information.
To get the right information there. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you both for being here today and sharing that information. And
thank you
once again, y'all just get those 2020 census forms in.
That's right.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Douglas On My Mind show. We have a couple of quick little announcements that I want to share with everyone. Right now, early voting is taking place for some of the county offices such as sheriff, county commissioner, and probate court. If anyone would like to come in and vote in person, the doors are open. They are, maintaining social distancing guidelines, but you can still vote in person right now at the elections office here in Douglas. And also, if you need more information about the election that's taking place or the early voting that's taking place right now, please call 384-7018. And one more quick thing is we just really want to let everyone know that some of our city parks are open. We do encourage you to get out, walk, bicycle, anything that you would like to do in the park, as long as you also maintain the social distancing guidelines, and there are no group gatherings allowed in the parks yet either. But please get outside, enjoy yourself, and stay safe beyond a doubt, and we'll see you next time.